name is Cat Matson, and I am one of the entrepreneurs in residence for Launchpad's accelerator programs. And today, what I want to do is just walk you through the different programs that Launchpad offers to help you decide, one, whether Launchpad is the place for you to come and hang out, and two, give you the information that you need to actually do that. As I just figure out how my screens are all working, there's so many screens open on my tab right on my machine right now, and that's not going to work. Let me do that. Oh, do, 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 do. Okay, there we go. Please, as we are going through, pop your questions into the chat box. Just put a Q, as in the letter Q, in front of your question. So as things are rolling through, we can quickly come back throughout to the questions. The Western Sydney team will answer those questions as we go through, or any questions that can't be answered, I will come to at the end. I feel like there was something else I wanted to let you know. It's completely gone. So, oh, that's what it was. One of the things that I love about online environments is that we can all gather and have this conversation like we're doing right now, and we don't have to drive, catch a train, catch a plane, catch the bus to be here. But one of the things that is missing in online environments is the side chatter that happens when we're in a room together. Like if we were all sitting in a room together right now, I would see I'll see a little twitch or somebody will go, oh yeah, that happened to me too. So what I encourage you to do is use the chat as if we are sitting in the room together. Don't open up your mics just at the moment, but just use the chat. If I say something that you go, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense, or oh yeah, I experienced that someone else somewhere else and I didn't like it, or whatever, have those side conversations in the chat. The reason I say to do this, your brain will absorb the information better if you are interacting with the information. And in a real life environment, one of the ways that we interact with the information is by having those side conversations. So in an online space, use the chat. Now, if you are somebody who needs to focus, just close the chat window so you're not seeing that go off. So let me kick off. I'm just going to double check. Quinn, can you open up your mic and tell me that you are now seeing the second slide?
Yes, correct.
Woohoo! The technology works. So, as I said, my name is Cat Matson. I'm one of the entrepreneurs in residence here at Western Sydney University for the Launchpad programs. And in those programs, our purpose is to develop resilient founders who can create sustainable and innovative businesses that meaningfully impact society and the community. You will note there, at no point did I say our purpose is to create unicorns. At no point did I say that our purpose is to create highly investable businesses. Our focus here at Western Sydney Launchpad is to develop resilient founders who can create sustainable and innovative businesses that meaningfully impact society and the community. Now, if investment is part of how you do that, awesome. If becoming a unicorn is the byproduct of that, awesome. But our focus is founders creating businesses that impact the community. And we do this through a number of factors, but in particular, our Launchpad programs. So, one of the things that I'm incredibly proud of with our programs is that they are founder centric. Yes, building a business, there are some, I'm not going to say there's rules, but there are some frameworks, there are some tips, there are some tricks. But really, the secret sauce, the 11 herbs and spices, the magic that makes a business work or not is your ability, your mindset, your resilience as a founder. So that is where we focus. The programs are steeped in practical experience and real life approach. The programs are taught by two experienced entrepreneurs and business owners, myself and Ian. I'll tell you more about him in a second. At no point is this just glorified theory, and it all comes with our lived experience. We're very much about flexibility and agile approaches, and I don't necessarily mean agile in terms of the IT systems. I mean, we are going to put you through your paces to actually test your ideas, to figure out what's working, to see whether what you think is what the customer needs, what the customer wants, etc., So that's what I mean by agile. We don't start at the beginning and then build to a plan. We keep testing, we keep iterating. We will connect you with technology and resources. We make available beautiful facilities at Western Sydney, and I'll talk you through those in a second. And possibly most importantly, we connect you with community. The Launchpad community at Western Sydney University is one of the most deliciously supportive and delightful communities I've ever worked with, and I've worked with communities all up and down the east coast of Australia. So, what we're about is actually not only giving you the skills, but also giving you the space where you can grow, where you can excel. I mentioned before the facilities. So Western Sydney University has a number of different campuses. We base the Launchpad program out of the Parramatta campus, where you've got access to Factory of the Future, micro factories. We've got the VR and AR facilities. We've absolutely got co-working spaces and Zoom-enabled meeting rooms. We've got workshop and event space. We've got a podcast studio. We've got a green room. And if you like to ride your bike to or from, we've also got the end of trips facilities. So it's a really lovely way actually to just hang out and build your business in a beautiful space, not in what am I going to say? Not in an amateur kind of a hall. We're actually building a really good space for you to be productive and be professional. As I said, my name's Cat Matson. My core business these days is a company called Impactful Projects, where I do a number of different things that is all about helping individuals and teams make the biggest impact in their world and in their communities possible. I'm a communication coach and trainer. I also lead and support innovation projects. I'm an MC. You'll get to know more about me as the time goes on. But this is, I think, at the last count, this is my 10th business. 10th business. I've also spent time in the public sector. And in fact, I'm based here in Brisbane, and one of the roles that I had was as Brisbane's Chief Digital Officer from 2014 to 2020. That particular role saw me design and lead startup and innovation programming for all of Brisbane. At the time, back in 2014, Uber hadn't arrived in Australia yet. Airbnb hadn't arrived in Australia yet. It's gobsmacking to think that it was actually only 12 years ago. And so part of my role was to assist small business owners as well as residents in general to adapt to the digital economy and the digital transformation that we were seeing. And so I created programs that supported residents in adapting and small businesses in using e-commerce websites, social media, etc. But in particular, building our startup programs like the Capital, which was the city's startup co-working and programming space, like open innovation, encouraging councils and government to buy from local businesses, as well as our budding entrepreneur and our global entrepreneur grant programs. The reason I mention all of this is, as well as being a business owner 10 times over, I've also led city-wide programming to support startups, founders, and innovators. That's where my experience comes from, and that's what you get access to when you join the Launchpad Accelerator programs. Now, the program is also led by Ian Mason, who, similarly to me, has a career in economic development. He started in local and regional and then national government in the UK, working directly with the Prime Minister's office in the UK. When you come along to one of our accelerator programs, Ian will tell this story so much better. But as a child, he read Richard Branson's book, Losing My Virginity. And when he was quite young, Ian clocked that he wanted to be an entrepreneur. In his time in the UK government, he caught the attention of Sir Richard Branson himself. And Richard actually reached out to him and said, I really like what you're doing. Can you come and run our startup programs? So Ian, the co-facilitator, and the other EIR, or one of the other entrepreneurs in residence who run the accelerator programs at Western Sydney, actually set up Virgin Startup. By the time he finished, it was easily the most successful and most voluminous in terms of number of people who went through the startup program in the UK. Ian's current companies He's got Humble Hub, he's got Future Leaders Network, and he's got Rainbow Bridge Education. So that's who you are learning from when you come into Western Sydney's Launchpad programs. So, what are those programs? Well, I'm glad you asked. The first one is pre-flight. Now, this is a 2-day program and it's coming up in just a couple of weeks on the 14th and on the 15th of July. And I'm going to pause on this slide for a moment because I highly recommend that you use your phone and your QR code reader right now to get a 50% discount code. 50% because you've shown up here today, you get 50% off the admission price for pre-flight. Now, pre-flight is a 2-day intense. I'm not going to deny that. It is an intense 2 days that helps you figure out whether you do have a substantive enough idea to make into a legitimate business and to also test whether you've got what it takes to be a founder. A lot of the time people come into pre-flight thinking, I'm wondering, I'm curious, I'm not sure whether I want to be a startup founder. I'm not sure what this whole thing's all about. Pre-flight is where you get to figure that out. So make sure you've got that link. Make sure you've taken a photo, not a photo, make sure you've scanned that and let me walk you through what we cover in pre-flight. So pre-flight, it's full time. We kick off at 8:30 each morning. We finish up at about 5. There is optional drinks on the evening of night 1. So that's the Tuesday because networking and catching up with people is some of the most valuable learning that you will ever do. And the focus of this program is twofold. We want to help develop your foundational entrepreneurial skills as well as help you ideate, help you figure out whether this little niggle of an idea has got legs. And even if you've got a half-formed business, even if you're already working on something, pre-flight is really good for helping to distill that idea into something that your market or the customers will want. You'll leave the program with an initial value proposition statement, as in you'll be able to describe what it is that your business does, and you'll have a lean canvas. So what are you going to learn? Well, I'm not going to read through all of this because that would be a really boring way to facilitate an information session. I think the most important part of pre-flight is actually the bottom piece, the mindset. You will learn and understand what you need mentally and emotionally to be an effective founder. Because one of the things that we will say in pre-flight, and then we will repeat many times over in ignition, there are easier ways to make money. There are easier ways to make money than start your own business. But I would argue, and I think Ian would be the same, I would argue there are few opportunities as rewarding as building a business. And once you've committed, once you've identified that you've got what it takes, then it's a constant journey in reassuring yourself and in managing your mindset. But that's one of the key things that we focus on in pre-flight. So what you'll leave pre-flight, the 2 days with, is a sentence to describe your idea, your business idea, and why other people should give a damn. You'll also leave with a description of the raving fans that you're going to cultivate in order to build your successful business. You'll know how to talk to potential customers and ask them the questions that you need answers to develop something that they want, not just something that you think is an amazing idea. Trust me, that's a key one. You'll have a basic storyboard of the idea that you're wanting to build and how it adds value to customers. And you'll get some pitch practice. You'll get the opportunity a couple of times actually to stand, pitch, and describe who you are and the value that you're looking to bring to the world. So before I go on to describe the other program, let me just check in on questions. Oh la la. Oh la la. Oh la la. Gurav's already seen that his picture's in there. I'm just quickly scrolling through the chat. Are there any cues Yes, Western Sydney students, if you are currently associated with Western Sydney University as a student, as alumni, or staff, you do get to access pre-flight for free. Aren't you lucky? If you are not associated with the university at the moment, you do need to pay and you can currently get 50% off. Are there any other questions, Quinn, that I've missed before I go on to the next one?
No questions, Kat.
Awesome sauce. Now I've got to see whether I can get my screen back to where I want it. Right. It worked. All right. So that was pre-flight. Now, pre-flight, I don't like using this language because even though the program is hosted by the university, it is not like other university programs. But in this case, what I want to say is pre-flight is the prerequisite to the next program, and it's the prerequisite to applying for the next program. And the next program is Ignition. So Ignition is our 15-week accelerator program. It kicks off in August and runs all the way through to November. Now, let me just stabilize what I meant just then around it's the pre-flight is the prerequisite to applying. Not everyone who applies for Ignition gets in. We have way more applications for pre-flight than we can get into the program, purely and simply because of the high level of personalized support we offer. Pre-flight, the 2 days, operates, it's a little bit like dating. You get to suss us out, we get to suss you out. We all get to figure out whether this is the right container for you, whether this is the right program for you, and whether it's going to help you take your business to the next level. And when you then apply to join Ignition, we know who you are. We've seen how you show up and we've understood what you're trying to achieve. And so we're able to say, yes, this is going to be a good fit for your business. So what happens in Ignition? Yes, it's 15 weeks. It's a part-time program. We are not asking anyone to quit their jobs. And what happens on Wednesdays from the program start time is that we gather at the Parramatta campus in person from 12 p.m., 12 noon until 5 p.m. every Wednesday. Now, there's a little break in the middle. Don't need to worry about that right now, but it is 12 weeks part-time, 12 to 5 p.m. on Wednesdays. We also host a Monday afternoon online clinic, and that happens from, I want to say 4 till 5:30 p.m. Is that? Yes, that is correct. The time conversions do my head in a little bit. So that is the commitment. And what we cover over those 15 weeks kind of looks a little bit like this. In week 1, we talk about the idea. In week 2, we talk about understanding your customer. Week 3, we talk about planning your minimum viable product. How do you get something into market so you can start getting paid? Week 4, customer journey mapping, really understanding what happens for your customer before, during, and after they've bought from you. Week 5, we talk about actually getting your product, your service, your business out into the world. And then in week 6, we spend some time pitching, literally explaining your product. Having said that, though, we pitch every week. We do pitch practice every week, but in week 6, we up the ante and we give you some more robust structures for pitching. We then have a 3-week break from teaching, but it's not a break from the program. In the 3-week relief from teaching and from new content, it's your opportunity to conduct customer interviews, to develop your minimum viable product, to actually prepare, if not launch. Ideally, we love to see as many Ignition participants as possible actually generating revenue by the end of the program. In week 10, we talk about growing your business. So what happens after minimum viable product stage, after launch phase? In week 11, we talk about building your team and we expand on that in week 12 because team development is easily some of the most challenging parts of running a business. In 13, we start talking about strategic planning. How do you grow and scale your business? And then in week 14, it's what do you do after you've launched? What do you do, in years 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then week 15, it's demo day, pitch. We invite everyone we know, you invite everyone you know, and you pitch your idea, you pitch your business by then to a room full of interested people. Now, the pattern. Let's assume, let's assume that the week starts on a Monday. So as I said, we have our clinics, those online clinics happen on Monday afternoons. You can access one-on-one mentoring on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Friday. On Wednesdays, we do the in-person training sessions or the in-person office hours. It's a funny way to describe it. It happens inside a university. It's taught by entrepreneurs in residence. It's not really a lecture, but because you're going to a university, people say that they're going to university. So, but you'll get a sense of how all of that works when you come along to pre-flight. Um, there's nothing else to say there. That explains it all. What you need to know is that the next ignition starts in August, but in order to apply for ignition, you need to come and do pre-flight. Pre-flight happens on the 14th and 15th of July, and ignition applications will therefore close on the 16th of July, which is the day after pre-flight finishes, 2 days after pre-flight finishes. Have I got those dates right? No, one day after. I'm losing track already. So again, I'm going to pop this slide up so you can get the discount code. If you are a Western Sydney University staff member, alumni, or student, you can do pre-flight for free, which I think is ludicrous, but that's okay. But if you are not currently connected to the university, you get 50% off. I should qualify and say that Ignition, the 15-week program, is entirely free. No charge, no cost. So that is the overview. I'm going to leave that screen up there just for a little bit more. And I've got those questions. I'm about to answer that. I'm going to leave the slide up just so you can get that QR code, and then I'll stop sharing it in a second. So KK asks, what sort of ongoing support is provided after the 15-week course? So let me see. The ongoing support is provided through Launchpad programs. So Launchpad hosts a number of events, pitch nights, additional education. There was a session recently about HR and team development. Also, there is Launchpad Live, which is an online community hosted in Mighty Networks where you can still ask questions, you can still get the support. One of the things that we recommend is that you stay as closely connected to the Western Sydney Launchpad community as possible, because that is where the support will exist. Does that answer the question, KK?
Yes, I want to add to that as well, Kat, if that's okay.
Yep.
So you, as part of an Ignition founder, when you finish the program, you would get access to our co-working spaces for free for 1 year. So that we have a few different co-working spaces in New South Wales, Parramatta, mainly based here, Fairfield, Bankstown, Warrington, all of that. Yeah, for free for 1 year. We also have 200K worth of partner perks. So you can, as soon as you finish the program, you can apply for to get credits at AWS, HubSpot, yeah, a lot of other key partners that you can, yeah, to support you and your startup moving forward. And on top of that, like Kat mentioned, we've had other programs and events that you can tap into. And there's other internship opportunities as well. So you can, as part of an Ignition founder, you get access to the talent pool we have here at Western Sydney University to our students, and yeah, lots of opportunities.
Yeah. Thank you, Quinn. As a follow-up, I'm asking questions out of order, but I do see them all. See them all. Johan's asking, can we get one-on-one support from the entrepreneurs in residence after the 15 weeks? Yes. Ian and I are often hosting mentoring sessions with past graduates of the program. So you just use Launchpad Live to reach out to us and to ask for that support. KK also asked, does the module cover funding? Yes. In the second half of the program, when we're talking about strategic planning and scaling, we do cover off on different funding models, both funding models as in how to get investment, as well as financial modeling, so you can see what you actually need. NJ asks, when is the next pre-flight after July 15? If I remember correctly, Quinn, it'll be September sometime.
No, November or
November.
yeah,
November.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
So next pre-flight is November. KK asked, does attending the subsequent ignition require to only join immediately prior? No. We've had quite a few people come and join pre-flight, and then they've said, I can't do the next ignition, but that does still leave you eligible for subsequent ignitions. So feel free to come and join this current pre-flight. In fact, we had a founder in the last pre-flight, Mauritia, who thoroughly enjoyed pre-flight, but she's in the middle of doing her PhD and she just said, I cannot commit to 15 weeks. But she's gone and done other programs. So she's progressing her business even while she's not in Ignition, and she's planning to come and do Ignition next year after she's done her pre-flight. Yes, we've sorted out the free access to pre-flight for Western Sydney peeps. Do, 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 do. I love Missy's comment there. Not to be biased, however, the vibe is really here at Launchpad. I agree. I agree. All right. It looks like I've answered all of the questions that are. Oh, there's another one.
Oh no, that's just me, Kat. I
No
just
worries.
wanted to emphasize that when you join pre-flight, it doesn't mean that you automatically get into ignition. You're eligible to apply though, so your applications will be considered if you join pre-flight.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ignition, we restrict to about 15, maybe 18 founders because Ian and I give really high level personalized support. We get hundreds of applications. Um, am I trying to let you know that you've got to work really hard to get into the program? No, I'm just wanting to manage expectations. I can tell you though, there is a little bit of, I don't know, magic serendipity happens. You come and do pre-flight, we get to know you, you get to know us. You apply for Ignition. It's not that you'll get in, but you'll get what you need out of pre-flight to then decide whether Ignition is right for you. And we will give you the feedback as to what you need to do if you're not successful into getting into this round of Ignition. It's a powerful process. I also want to qualify, and I've been working in the startup ecosystems across Australia now for 15 years. We're not offering we're not offering investment. We're not getting paid to have you be in the program. We're not looking to benefit financially by having you in the program. We are here to support you to be the best founders you can be. So the model is quite different to other programs that let in everybody and then try to find, try to match you up to other tech founders or whatnot. That's not our jam at all. We are here to support you to be the best founders you can be. There was a question sent through to the team privately asking, do you have to pitch at the end of the program? All right, I'm going to answer this carefully. As human beings, you can do whatever you damn well like. Like, we quite literally live in a free country. Demo day is part of the program, and pitching at the end of the program is part of the program. We work with you intensely and supportively to enable you to feel good about pitching. And this is why I'm here. I'm a public speaking and communication coach, trainer, facilitator. And I'm aware that for some people, public speaking is a fear greater than death itself. In fact, there was a founder in the last program who said to me, I'm not going to be able to pitch because it's debilitating. Like I can't do it. She pitched and she pitched beautifully. If at the end of the program, after all of that support, you still don't want to pitch, then that is going to be your choice. But here's what I'm going to say. And this is probably the first piece of honest, love slap style feedback that you'll get used to when you come into our programs. If you can't talk about your business, if you can't stand up in front of a handful of people, if you can't talk about it, you can't grow it. You can't delegate your founder responsibilities of talking about your business to your team because no one else knows your why as strongly as you do. So if you're already thinking about bailing on pitching, I would be asking, what's more important to you? The business idea that you want to put out into the world or your fear? So that's the kind of support that you'll get in the program. Are we going to force you to pitch? No. And so far, every single person, even the people who feel like they could never pitch, have pitched and they've pitched beautifully. All right. Here, KK, don't ever apologize for all of the questions. In fact, the more questions, the merrier. And if you're thinking the question, somebody else is also thinking it too. So please keep asking the questions. Um, does this also offer guidance on existing startup business and their viability extension pathways? Yes. Yes, 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 yes. You will see, if you do come into pre-flight, you will see that most of the content is focusing on a new idea. But unless you're already highly successful, I would say that you can still treat your idea as a new idea, if that makes sense. If you haven't hit the revenue goals that you want your business to be hitting, then pre-flight is going to work fine for an existing startup. I'm loving some of the comments around pitching. And yeah, demo day is an opportunity for you to share your idea with the world. And honestly, if you can't, you I get stuck on this. Communication is your number one skill, is your number one skill in growing your business. You need to be able to talk to potential clients. You need to be able to talk to staff. You need to be able to talk to potential investors. You need to be able to talk to potential partners. Even all of the businesses that look like they are entirely online, you need to be able to talk to people to make your business work. And so the reason we spend so much time on pitching, in fact, God, we should add up the hours, Quinn, but over a 15-week program, we are spending at least 15 hours on pitching in the course room. And then you're spending more time on that practicing and working on your pitch. We spend a lot of time on pitching because it's not about delivering a perfect pitch. It's not about being a TEDx speaker. But when you say out loud to the world what you are doing, you clarify your idea and you get support. That's just all there is to it. So yeah, we spend a lot of time on that. And by the end, you'll feel okay with it, even if you don't like it. Any other questions? Feel free to drop them into chat or raise your hand. I'm happy to open up mics. I know that typing questions isn't always the easiest thing. So if you've got a question that you would prefer to just ask, please just raise your hand and we can open up your mic.
Hey, Kat. Oh,
Yes, Quinn.
yes. So there's a question that came through my private chat. So
Okay.
a founder asked me if they can join Ignition if they're not based in New South Wales. New South Wales.
If you're not based in New South Wales, that's fine, but you do need to show up in person every Wednesday to the in-person sessions. So we've had somebody in the past who was living in Dubbo, and so she came into Sydney every week for the in-person sessions. So we don't mind where you're based. You do need to be in person every week, not just for some of the weeks, but for every week. This is an in-person accelerator program. Thank you for passing that question on. Yeah, KK is asking, is there an attendance benchmark? Now, this is an interesting one, okay? Because you're right, there is an attendance benchmark, but it's not a quantitative piece, it's a qualitative piece. If, for example, no, let me explain what I mean by qualitative. Given that the bulk of the program is delivered 12 to 5 p.m. on a Wednesday, for 15 weeks. 12 of those weeks are face-to-face. That's 60 hours. That's 60 hours of contact time. If you miss too many of those, then you're just not going to have the context that we have been teaching. And you can catch up on some of it, but it's really not the same as being in the room because so much of what is happening in the room is actually discussions. It's exploration. It's talking with your colleagues, talking with your peers, and asking questions of us. And we don't have the capacity to redo a session. So it's not that there is an attendance benchmark of 80%. We get it. Life happens. Sometimes you're sick, sometimes you need to travel, etc. If something comes up in your life and you can't make a couple of sessions, have the conversation with us about it and we will manage it. We have had situations in the past, though, where people have said they've come into the program fully committed. Yes, I'm here for the 15 weeks. And then 2 weeks in, they say, oh, but I've got an overseas trip planned and it's going to take me out for 6 weeks. We'll ask you to leave the program. We'll ask you to come back next time. Please don't do that. If you've got travel planned or if you've got something planned that you can't make the full 15 weeks now, please don't apply for this program because your successful entry into the program means somebody else doesn't get a place. So it's not that there's an attendance benchmark, so to speak, but we can't in good faith say, yes, you've successfully completed the program if you've missed too much content. So I hope that answers the question. Feel free to follow up, KK.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Quinn. It's exactly right. It's exactly right. If you're sick, don't come in. We don't want to catch your lurgies, stuff like that. And you can catch up on 1 or 2 sessions, there's no doubt, but you can't catch up on multiple sessions. There's just too much that happens in person. Keep the questions coming, folks. I'm here for another 20 minutes. Of course, if you don't have questions, that's okay. We can wrap things up early because, hey, we're all busy people. And in fact, I'm guessing by the nature of these questions, some of you are already building your businesses. So I would far prefer you go and build your business than sit here and come up with fake questions. But feel free, keep asking the questions. Any question, there is no question too silly, too stupid, too dumb. They're all legitimate questions. Ask away. Ask away. Or put your hand up. What I might do then is I'm going to ask for you to use your reaction button. Use your reaction button. Any short success stories from this program? Oh, Brad's completing the registration. Awesome sauce. Welcome, Brad. It's going to be awesome to have you. Does the question have to be unique? Oh, now that is a darn good question. Okay. I'm going to answer those two. Does the idea have to be unique? Ian's probably going to slap me if he ever heard me say this. But the fact of the matter is this, there are very few unique ideas left in the world. Like if you're thinking of it, yay, Brad. If you're thinking of the idea, somebody else is. It's just the law of the universe. So no, it doesn't need to be unique. What does need to be unique, though, is your approach. How are you going to stand out from the others? How are you going to stand out from the competitors? Now, if you come into pre-flight with an idea of another ride-sharing app to take on Uber, we're going to question you pretty hard on that. Like, we're going to say, right, well, how are you going to fund that? But if you come into us with an interesting idea around how you can solve a community problem, we're going to go, okay, cool, let's play with it. So, yeah, and as Missy said, Business 101, don't reinvent the wheel. So, no, the idea itself doesn't have to be unique, but your execution needs to be able to stand out. And you need to be able to, what's the word? During the process of pre-flight, you'll need to show us what you've got, as in your why you care enough that is going to carry you through. I just want to reiterate, pre-flight and ignition are about you, the founders, not about your ideas. So, yes, we ask when you apply to tell us about your idea if you've got it so far, but we're not really judging you on the idea. We're judging you on what you've thought about the idea already. Oh, this is awesome, Ash. Welcome, welcome. And there was another question. There was some success stories from the program. I'm just thinking about some. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Let me tell you about Yasmin. And I'm going to tell you about Yasmin because she's a beautiful demonstration of someone who didn't have a unique idea, but had a unique execution plan. So Yasmin has developed a business called My Financial Future. She's a relatively young financial planner herself, and she recognized that school kids are not getting the financial literacy education that they need in order to save a deposit, buy a car, understand the difference between, a high interest savings account or just leaving your money in a normal savings account, a normal transaction account. So Yasmin came into the program having run a couple of in-person workshops for local schools. During the course of Ignition, she it's extraordinary, actually. She clarified her customer journey and clarified her unique difference so much that she got a number of new schools on board as clients. She received funding from one of the regional banks to go out and conduct those programs in regional areas. She also developed a completely new revenue stream where she will actually be licensing providers to deliver the training for her. So she gets to expand her reach as well as providing her network of providers with an opportunity to deliver on their environmental and sustainability goals. So it's just like that is a powerful demonstration of how going through the program really helped Yas clarify what was possible for her. Interestingly, Yasmin had already been through another accelerator program, and that stuff hadn't occurred to her in that program. Like so, she came in with something that existed, an accelerator program that had already given her some basics, but it was through Ignition that she quite literally exploded the business into something so much bigger. Do you need to have prior knowledge or experience about the idea? Do you need to in order to come into pre-flight? No. I would be questioning your ability to make a big impact in a space that you don't have experience or knowledge in. You might be making life harder for yourself than you need to. But by all means, bring that idea into pre-flight and explore it. Part of what happens in pre-flight is that we pull apart the idea. Like we don't tear it apart in a nasty way. You get the frameworks to really look at it and ask yourself, do I have the capability and the capacity and the time and the care to make this happen? The chat is now moving so fast, so I'm just making sure I'm not losing stuff as I go. How many candidates are normally selected for the Ignition program? So Ignition, the 15-week program, we normally accept between 15 and 18 founders or founding teams into the program. No, you do not need to have a co-founder, but if you do have a co-founder, then you can both come and join the program. But yeah, normally it's about 15 businesses that come into, or 15 founders that come into Ignition. I love that, Ash, that you present. Oh, did you win pitch night last night, Ash? And now that's why you're looking for a clean sweep? Yeah, nice. Okay, pressure's on. So what we'll be working on is if you've already delivered a winning pitch, Ash, then it'll be how do we get you to the next level? Like how do we get you to be amazing, not just what you did last night? Brad says he's a fair way down the track. I'm really interested to have the idea pressure tested. Yeah, that is what will absolutely happen in pre-flight in a beautiful, supportive way, not in, so I'm sure many of you know of Steve Baxter from Shark Tank, and you've seen how brutal he can be on some of those ideas. Well, I've worked with Steve. I'm Brisbane based, and he can be brutal. That's not how Ian and I are. We will be direct sometimes, but it's always with love and with compassion. So no one's leaving any of our rooms feeling like shit. You leave even if you leave going, oh, damn, that idea's not going to work, you leave feeling supported for it. Um, Ash says, what would you be proud of helping a founder's journey and their growth? As in what do I like? What makes me proud? Oh, that is a deep and insightful question, Ash. What I get excited for is watching founders see what's possible and then stepping into it. At the risk of sounding a little love, trust, and pixie dusty, when people come into the programs, they're often kind of going, oh, maybe I can do this. I've kind of been thinking about this thing for a while, but I'm not really sure. Even at the end of pre-flight, there's a sense of, oh, I can. And we see the pictures change just in 2 days. We see how people talk about themselves change from day one to day two. That's what makes me proud. And so what I get proud of at the end of demo day, at the end of the 15 weeks, is watching everyone stand up. 15 weeks prior, they were bumbling messes of maybe I could do this, maybe I can't. But on demo day, they stand there and go, this is my business and this is what I'm doing. Like, that's what makes me proud. That's the juice. Yeah, thank you. And that's what we're about. What does not make me proud, or what I'm not looking for, is investment, is revenue numbers, is any of that, any of those vanity metrics. We are about the founders. What is now possible for you? What do you now see as possible for you? Do we do anything for legal stuff about our projects? Johan, we taught, I'm going to say in short, not really. At this stage of your business journey, for most people, you don't need legals. And if you do need legals, you need to talk to a lawyer, because legals are one of those things that are very unique. And sorry, you can't say very unique. It's either unique or it's not. Legal, yeah, you need to get legal advice if you think you need legal advice. We can't cover that off in the program. When we talk about scaling and growing, we will touch on some of the different considerations, but no, legals are not part of this program. Do you have any good examples or ideas that didn't show good performance during the MVP phase, but did a successful pivot afterwards? Yes. I'm not going to mention names because that's unfair, but there was a founder in one of last year's programs who was convinced that his AI powered platform for small businesses was going to change the world and it was going to be amazing, and he was going to charge a subscription for AI services and AI advice and blah 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 blah, and it didn't matter what Ian and I said to him, he was effing convinced that his idea was amazing. It wasn't. The MVP went nowhere. The feedback from his customers and clients was, no, we don't want that at all. In fact, we still want you to provide us with the advice. And so what he realized was that the MVP that he had built actually powered him and his team to deliver better services faster. So it became an engine that sat behind him rather than a subscription service that replaced him. He is now absolutely creaming it. Like he is by when we last saw him, he was literally bouncing off the walls because he said, I've brought in this many team and my team's expanded by this much and I've got this much revenue coming in and it's just so amazing. And I just sat there and went, that's fantastic. Look what you did. Do you remember when it was different? He said, yeah, I know. How stupid was I? I said, yeah, just a little, but that's okay. That's okay. So yeah, that's my top of mind story on that one. Is there access to technical mentoring support for non-tech founders? Okay. Oh, this is one of those questions that I'm gonna say bugs me, not because you've asked it, Alexandra, but because we tell ourselves that building a business requires tech skills. Right now, building a business does not require tech skills. There are so many different platforms, AI. Like I used Manus the other day to create a really cool animation on my website that had I was just like, oh, look at that. Look at that. The answer is yes, there is access to technical mentoring. You will find it within the cohort yourself. You will find it in the Launchpad resources, services. That's why we've got Factories of the Future, etc. But that language of non-technical founder for technical founder, I honestly don't believe is a useful distinction anymore because the information on how to do that stuff is quite literally at your fingertips. It is at your fingertips. And the tech in any business, and I mean in any business, is just the delivery mechanism. It is not the business. So, for example, if somebody says to me, hi, I've got, when I ask them, what do you do? Oh, I've got an app. I go, stop. You don't have an app. The app is the delivery mechanism. You have a business that does X, Y, Z for ABC customers. So don't worry about the tech or non-tech stuff. What's important is you developing your idea. Who's it for? What problem does it solve? Why do they want it solved? What are they willing to pay for it to be solved? How does it connect with them when they want it to be solved? The tech piece is the easy part. The easy part. And yes, there is access to technical mentoring and support. You'll find it amongst your peers. Other questions while I take a breath? Ash is asking, what are my thoughts about the current, I'm guessing the tax changes, the budget? It's not going to affect any of us. External external financial policy always needs to be considered as you're preparing for those big things. But it's if you're trying to collect my words, they're all going through my head way too fast. You either want to build a business or you don't want to build a business. The tax implications at some stage of when you sell the business, invest in the business, not invest in business, they're just the tax implications. That's literally just part of the cost of doing business. So no, I don't think it's gonna. There's been a whole lot of commentary and there's a whole lot of people who are just whinging and moaning about not having a free ride anymore. Personal opinion. I'm going for orange this time. I missed that bit. pH. Okay, got it. Got it. Awesome sauce. Other questions? 7 minutes left. Squeeze them in. How do we shortlist the candidates? That's a really nice question. The candidates are shortlisted post pre-flight based on how you've shown up. And I don't mean how you've shown up in terms of how many questions you've asked or how perfect your pitch is or how perfect your idea is. It's how engaged are you? How humble are you? Are you coachable? Or have you already decided what you're going to do and you're just looking for something? Um, and that's okay. Don't get me wrong. There are so many accelerator programs around. We know that ignition's not for everyone, but what Ian and I are looking for is, are you coachable? Will you contribute to the wider cohort? Are you, I'm going to say community orientated, and I don't mean in the do good for your community perspective, but I mean, are you going to show up and support the Western Sydney Launchpad community? Are you going to be nice to hang out with over 15 weeks? No, I'm dead set. This is, and I mean, I've met some absolute wanker founders who think that they are God's gift to the world and they should just get everything because, well, I'm saving the world. And I'm like, no, dude, you're not. So that's what we're looking for. It's a very human program. It's not about the idea, it's about you as a founder. The very fact I'm looking at your facial expression as I'm saying this, that tells me that you fit. So come along to pre-flight and suss it out.